Eric, the cult and narcissist slayer. 1 week ago, edited. I agree with you about Nazis. Nazis think they are better than everyone, regarding what race or sex people are, since they have a very inferior complex. In this day and age after 2010, Hitler inspired neo-Nazis, like the Actman, GLL, March 9122, and Wade Duell.
Okay, so when you have all this transgenderism bullshit forced into their fucking throat every second of every day on TV, on music, on movies, and creeping into games, and even being taught in the schools to where the sexual education system is so advanced now that they're teaching, 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds about anal sex and all this sorts of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty wrong, because it's really sexualizing kids. And, that show, The New Normal, and that fucking I Am Jazz and all this stuff. I am done. I'm not going to be politically correct. If you want to listen to someone not be politically correct, come to my channel. Come to my channel and subscribe to my channel, because you will hear something from the heart, and I don't give a shit if I get channel struck. I don't give a shit if I've been intimidated by police. I don't give a shit about anything, because I am done. I am done. I will stand for what I believe in. And this transgenderism and this Satan's justice warriors are destroying the fucking earth.
Infested the gaming world with their Nazi propaganda to take over again, as well as mistreating those that they despise the most for stupid-ass reasons. It same goes with North Korean cultists who really wants to kill all Americans out of hatred and pride from the Cold War, Korean War. Also, Chinese Northerners cultists who act a lot like the Japanese Nazis of World War I, discriminating those who are not like them and stealing Asians' places like Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and Taiwan out of greed and power. Hell, China will likely steal more Asian land outside of East Asia. I used to dislike many Northeast Chinese, Manchus, for being barbaric the most, but after Quora, I feel many other Northern Chinese groups, Mandarin-speaking ones, or Wu-Mayo Creeks, are not any better or they are worse than them. Remember that David Wen guy from Shandong province I said to you in a previous video under GLL's comment from a couple of days ago, and I described to you that he is worse than that Alex Wong piece of shit. That narcissistic asshole is a hypocritical Mandarin supremacist for attacking me when I said that Cantonese is older than Mandarin, with Wikipedia and blog sources under his post, saying that I don't know any linguistics, and that I should go to college to major in 4 years of linguistics, saying that Wikipedia and blog sources are not good sources, saying that I have to use only pure paper to support my claim, reporting and almost getting me banned when I tried to criticize him that he was lying a lot, and saying that these languages are the same age, are Semitic, and constantly evolve without any proof of it to promote more of that barbaric language. In other words, David Wen was pointing flaws in me a lot, but he gets super triggered and deleted my comments whenever I described him as being a very arrogant asshole, or that he believed that I wasn't being civil with him, and I saw one of his comments on his account that he dislikes the leftists a lot, that he claims they are the same as communists maybe. There is another guy named Feng Zion on Quora from Shaanxi province who is another Mandarin supremacist. I can believe in a post Feng Zion hypocritically described Central and Southern Chinese as short black Negritos, barbarians or the Jews of China, and he described Northern Chinese as civilized people. Feng Zion praises the King Manchus and Mongols from the Mongol Empire, Yuan Dynasty, a lot in his posts, and even said he has Xiongnu blood like it is a proud thing. Finally, a piece of shit Yaocha user, Doge, attacked me under 2 videos that I don't know any linguistics. He lied that Mandarin is civilized and Han and Cantonese is barbaric and linguistic, and said something in Mandarin to be racist against my South Chinese race, to which I translated his words in English on Google Translate. Those fucking shitheads are the worst you will ever face, along with American neo-Nazis, Trump supporters, and North Korean worshipping Kim Jong supporters. In fact, I wonder if the Punti Mandarin clan wars will happen, kind of similar to the Punti Hakka clan wars from over a century ago, since Mandarin speakers are already invading, bullying, suppressing their culture, especially language and freedom, and stealing resources and land from people of South China. Oh yeah. Chinese Northerners are too national in discriminating anyone who is not Chinese, or if anyone is a foreigner, such as a white person. Anyways, the single-player video game, Kingdom Hearts 3, is alright for now, because I watched some of its gameplay with its story, that Kingdom Hearts 3 is far from being the worst game in this modern era. I might buy Kingdom Hearts 3 with Crash Insane Trilogy, Spyro 1 Remake, and maybe Dark Souls on the PlayStation 4 either this year or the next. By the way, Kingdom Hearts 3 took so long to make for 14 years, due to the Kingdom Hearts games after Kingdom Hearts 2 filling in some holes that Kingdom Hearts 2 left out. Interestingly, you can make an account to play Pokémon Showdown for free online, so you can play against anyone, including me. The HR guy who doesn't like microtransactions 5 days ago. All the neo-Nazis are a bunch of fucking losers. What's even funnier is you have Nazis like Ben Shapiro, Jewish, and John Tron, Persian, and it's like, why are you assholes of all people siding with the master race of angry, pimply white dudes?
So in the very rare case where a leftist uses evidence, logic, and empiricism, how do I combat, statistics they propose?
Who is it and when has it happened ever?
You do realize that their endgame is to kill off all non-whites, right? You do realize that if they were to somehow win, which won't happen because they are pathetic, they would hang you from a tree, right? You guys do realize that, right? Also, neo-Nazis should be careful around each other. It's a hate game. Want to know an interesting fact, in case you didn't know, Eric? Or in case I never mentioned it before, but guess who Nazis kill the most of? Blacks? No. Mexicans? No. Themselves. That's right. The dumbass racists just so happen to kill each other more than anyone else. Imagine that, lol. A mob of angry, violent, stupid assholes hurts themselves more than anyone else. Go figure, lol. It's a gang. And we all know how gangs are. If you join them, you are likely going to be forced to do something that will get you killed. If you want to leave, they won't let you usually and will likely try to kill you for doing so. That's the KKK for ya. Also glad you mentioned Actman. You're right. Dude is a Nazi. He had a big problem with black female playable characters in COD WW2.
Now don't twist this into some I hate women and blacks bullshit. Now it does kind of rub me the wrong way, what with the social justice warrior, political correctness aspects surrounding this game, that we see a British female fighting on the front lines and she doesn't do anything else. It has no purpose in the narrative aside from, being a woman. Then there's a French woman who gives some forced exposition about how her family was killed, and it's totally out of the blue.
The garrison is run by SS and Polizeiführer Heinrich. And he couldn't find me. Came for my parents. And my husband. And finally, my son.
She, on the other hand, is a French resistance fighter, so she makes sense. Next, there's a black mechanic who's the only black guy in the game, and it seems he was included, so we could have a scene like this, where all the white guys are like, what? A black guy?
I can't believe they let him fight.
Oh yeah, they even let us die.
Then after the day is won, this happens.
I believe I owe you an apology.
You owe me a hell of a lot more than that.
Now don't twist this into some I hate women and blacks bullshit. Diversity is great when it's utilized properly. But the mechanic Howard is introduced in the 9th mission, and they don't do much with his character except use him as a vessel to make the statement, black people are equal and can fight. This game had a great opportunity to do something profound and thought-provoking, but it seems the writers just settled for a cheap gimmick. Like they were trying to please people who wouldn't play the games anyway, who would only care if they heard, yeah, there's a black guy in here. Hey, here's a not-so-shitty idea. What if you introduced Howard and perhaps another battalion of black soldiers, and then have Daniels and his squad still remain skeptical? Then perhaps you have a few cutscenes where the race relations are boiling up, heated arguments, maybe a couple fist fights, insults, but the higher-ups stop it and get everyone back in order. Then through fighting, dying, and bleeding together, both sides learn to respect and accept the others as brothers.
I was afraid of you, Julius.
I only saw what I was afraid of. And now I know I was only hating my brother.
I think the reason this wasn't fleshed out is because Sledgehammer Games was too afraid to take risks, to show the ugly side of war, to actually portray racism or hatred or vile, despicable acts. They played it too safe, and as a result, many of the plot points and characters don't resonate with the audience as strongly as other war stories. I think a greater point with all this is Sledgehammer just got spooked by all this modern outrage towards Nazis and, oh, racism is such a bad word nowadays. Everything can be racist. We don't want to appear racist. And so they decided to suppress all the offensive imagery. I said suppress, not remove entirely. In an effort to please the social justice warriors or whoever, COD World War II lost artistic vision by censoring the history it's based on. Damn shame too. Howard was pretty cool for the 1 minute of screen time he had. If only the writers had balls.
Clearly that's a sign he's a bit of a racist. He also does videos from time to time talking about race and sex in video games, trying to make all gamers look like nice dudes, when in reality, many gamers are scumbag pieces of shit, lol.
Anyway, I want to talk about some stuff in gaming. I want to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. The game's getting a little bit of hate from the sexist gamers out there who don't like women being a thing in video games.
Actman never seems to mention that fact and simply just tries to paint a pretty picture to make gamers and himself look good. Typical racist and greedy behavior. I don't buy into that horseshit. Many gamers are racists though. Just look at John Tron.
I mean, honestly, if you just look at how the Trump inauguration went, then you had Trump supporters just going around being fucking assholes, trolling people, but they never actually hurt anyone. And then you've got the leftists that just go around just setting the city on fire and fucking punching people. It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, I think they're scared because the people that have been trolling them for years are now, organizing more more in a real life sense, I guess. But yeah, they're not. It's funny because, they always categorize them as being like these violent basement Nazis, and they just people coming out like, hey, can you stop? Hey, can you just let me do my thing and live as an individual in a free country? Thank you.
That's way too much to ask, John.
Too much to ask, dude.
Alphaomegasin.
Of the entertainment industry as a whole, and social justice warriors, being the fucking scum that they are. And I thought this is something that many other people out there could go and begin to talk about. The ramifications of all their would-be, could-be actions of being so fucking offended by whatever it is in works of fiction, from games to movies to music to books, you name it. They're there trying to say that that shouldn't be the way that it is, and they want a ton of fucking control over artist creativity. And I say fuck that and fuck them.
All of those new maternal fake outrage assholes I showed you from Sean's video. These are bad people all. Many of whom are not even real gamers but rather poser assholes. Well said, Eric. It's one thing to have a different opinion on a sport or a color or dumbass video game. Sure. It's another thing to think that a race of people should be fucking murdered because they don't look like you or whatever. And if not murdered, enslaved, treated worse, made fun of, etc., etc. I do think it's funny though. With Trump being our fake president and with white power being threatened, you can really see all of the racists coming out of the woodwork, scared like little whiny bitches, lol. Anyone saying that it's just white culture and not racism is full of shit. Anyone saying blacks commit more crimes than whites is full of shit.
White family worth, in terms of financial worth, is 69 times more than that of black families. Given this disparity, how can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't... And when... You know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain to me why the number of black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high? Explain, if it has nothing to do with culture, explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70% in the same course of time that the civil rights movement has made such tremendous strides. Is America more racist now than it was in 1960? And if it is, please explain to me how that happened.
Anyone saying white privilege isn't the thing is full of shit. Almost always a white dude spouting that shit, and it's always a fucking moron, lol. I'm not a language expert, but Mandarin and Cantonese are different, right? Mandarin utilizes 4 tones, whereas Cantonese has at least 6 and sometimes as many as 9, correct? Also, the tones have different meanings, so it's not all the same shit, lol. Not really. Every source I just looked up now is pretty much saying that Cantonese is older than Mandarin, so I gotta disagree with this dude, lol. So he thinks people like me are communists? LOL. Reminds me of when Tron said people like me are communists. Couldn't even get the fucking name right, lol. You ever see this? It's fucking hilarious, lol. Left aside though, this level of racism is pretty fucked up.
If I had a choice between Hillary and Donald Trump, I would go with Donald Trump. That doesn't mean Donald Trump is the greatest ever and I want him to be president. And quite frankly, I don't even live in that country, so why would I get involved with the politics involved? Okay? Donald Trump was just the best of a bad choice. It was either this shitty choice or this shitty choice. There was no great choice. There was no brilliant choice out of the 2 president fucking candidates. Okay? And then people who get fucking outraged over the fact that Donald Trump got in might want to look at Hillary because she wasn't that great of a fucking prospect either.
And stupid. Why would you want to be one of these people? So that you can get punched in the face on the street like Richard Spencer? Look up the video if you haven't seen it. Just type in NAZIGETSTUNCHED and I'm sure it will pop up, lol. I'm not for violence or anything, but it was funny to see a violence-inciting asshole to get shut the fuck down. Fact. Most people don't like racist morons, lol. Racism will fail in the end, though. It always does. The planet has people of different races. Just like it has different animals and plants of different species. Different everything. You can't just kill every type and make only one type exist, lol. That ruins the balance of things. The endgame for racists is simply human extinction. It's a loser's way of thinking, lol. Funny how a lot of these alt-right growth-like Brazilist manoids boys are, though. They can seem to spot a government conspiracy and political agenda coming from a mile away, but they can't seem to see a Nazi if he's burning crosses while wearing a white hood, lol. These guys are fucking morons. That's what a shitty educational background can create, I suppose, lol. You're right about being a foreigner or tourist in China, though. Sometimes they will just arrest your ass for no reasonable reason whatsoever. Russia too. Russia is super anti-homosexual. Know how many gay bars are in Russia? Like 4, lol. Interesting take on KH3. I'm sure it's decent enough. Just not worth full price, in my opinion. I haven't even played the first 2 really, so I need to get caught up. Just don't seem to have time for jack shit these days, lol. As for Pokemon, sorry boss, not a big fan of the franchise. Played Pokemon Blue and a little bit of Yellow back in the day. That's about it. Word is the Switch is STILL working on a new Pokemon game that's supposed to be the king of all Pokemon games or something, lol. They better make that happen because word is the Switch is the last console that Nintendo will ever produce. Word is that Nintendo might become just a game maker and not a console maker. Or they might even become a cell phone only game making company, lol. Sounds like it could be totally shit. Eric, the cult of narcissist slayer. 2 days ago, edited. At a HR guy who doesn't like microtransactions well stated about Nazis. Nazis are huge parasites who need to be exterminated by society or by nature to prevent them from killing us all out of their excessive pride and jealousy. Regardless, climate change will dispose of those pieces of shits in about 10 years, since they are scientific climate change deniers and they refuse to move inland from the coast of their country. Alternatively, a possible World War III shall eliminate Nazi scums from the face of the earth. In other words, Nazis should keep their own hatred and murder intent to themselves, and it same goes with Trumpty Dumpty and the GOP as well as the neoliberal centrists in the United States, so we should shift towards more to the far left of the political spectrum like the Viking-inspired Nordic countries in Europe and maybe Qatar of the Middle East. Yeah, fuck that David Wynn narcissistic Mayo piece of shit and the 7 closed-minded people upvoting his troll post to harm me, but at least I had 3 times more viewership and meaningful comments for my post than his. Mandarin was the creation of the Mongol Empire, Yuan dynasty, in the 13th century, due to the fact that the late Middle Chinese language was so hard that they had to lower the tones and make it have Mongol sounds. Thus, the Old Mandarin language was formed. The Mongol Empire oppressed my ancestors the most, since my ancestors of the Song dynasty were the toughest against them, but they lost against them thanks to their weakened military, which they had to reduce the number of soldiers to prevent any uprisings that occurred before in the Han Empire and the Tang Empire. In the Ming Empire, Ming officials purged out anything barbaric from Old Mandarin to preserve more richer Middle Chinese tones and sounds. In the Qing Empire, the Manchu overlords were doing the same of what the Mongols did to my ancestors before. However, this time the Manchu overlords made late standard Mandarin to have Manchu sounds like the huge disgusting shy sound to tell someone to shut up rudely, as well as he and zai sounds to choke on something in a disgusting yet dying manner in its language. Otherwise speaking, Standard Mandarin is a primitive language that makes my ears bleed and my head ache insanely, causing me either to avoid everyone speaking this language or to make me commit suicide. Still, Standard Mandarin language is still spoken to this very day by about 70% of Chinese people, and the Beijing government haven't corrected any disgusting influence from the fake Standard Mandarin language to this very day, but Beijing elites still want to forcefully promote this as the main Chinese language in East and Southeast Asia to make everyone speak it for them to boost their power and money. How sad. I rather learn Korean, Japanese, Khmer, American Sign Language, or stick with English than Mandarin, lol. Mongol and Manchu overlords might be barbaric invaders from Siberia for doing fucked up shit to my ancestors, but many Chinese northerners are no different from them. Chinese northerners almost always broadcasting the Qing dynasty in shows and movies in mainland China and discriminating anyone not speaking Mandarin, yet they refuse to pick up non-Mandarin languages, Wu, Hokkien, Hakka, and Cantonese. South Koreans and the Japanese are proud of wearing their Hangul and kimono clothing, but why can't the Chinese with their Hanfu? Oh yes, Chinese northerners beating up or even killing anyone wearing the Hanfu, which they earned. China is copying Qing Empire's and North Korea's ways of authoritarian dictatorship. Chinese northerners are really deluded by linguistic invasions and Mao Zedong's cultural revolution in the past. It didn't work out, with Sun Yat-sen and his revolutionists overthrowing the Qing Empire in the Xinhai Revolution, and Mao Zedong dying to make room for a better leader, Deng Xiaoping, to improve one's country from oppression and disaster. Even though Cantonese is not that close to the original Huaxia language as the Hokkien languages, for example. Hokkien and Teochew, that preserves the most Old Chinese, which it is no longer spoken almost anymore in this time period. Speaking Mandarin causes me and others to be looked down upon by many non-Chinese foreigners who believe that we are going along with a crowd for a popularity contest in not putting much effort into learning Mandarin, sacrificing language diversity as much as not caring about our culture and history in the process. At least speaking Cantonese feels less barbaric, and it feels like I am in the golden age of the Tang Empire, when the Tang Empire was about gathering the most skilled generals and inventing gunpowder to strengthen its military against foreign invaders, hiring the best scholars to educate the masses to improve the lives of its civilians in society and to learn how to read, write, and do basic math, approving women more freely, to dress looser Hanfu clothing to expose more of their cleavage and their skin, for air to help make their skin younger and healthier, inspiring Japan religion, with Buddhism and food as much as the Tang-based Hanfu inspiring Japan to create a different version of it being a kimono, increasing trade through the Silk Road to help stimulate the economy as a foreign lover, making contact or visiting other kingdoms, such as the Goguryeo and the Khmer Empire, and making Middle Chinese the official language to help its people communicate with each other, from the 7th century to the 10th century. Therefore, the Tang dynasty achieved true happiness and prosperity, for the most part, and it almost never engaged any form of wars other than with a war with the Korean kingdom at that time, and it fell on its own to the Lushan rebellion. In other words, Cantonese people call themselves the people of Tang. In American Chinatowns, due to influx of Han migration from the Yellow River, Central Plains, to Guangdong, that the Northerners intermarried and assimilated the Dayak people to create the existence of Cantonese people around the Tang Dynasty era or hundreds of years before. In other words, Cantonese is the Vaidic/Tai Kade language that originated from below the Yangtze River, central South China, that came into contact with some influence of the Huaxia language around the Tang period. Throughout the distant past, my ancestors always fled from the Yangtze River to South China to escape famines, wars, and torture by linguistic invaders, and my ancestors managed to preserve cultural traditions the most from ever being killed off by enemies' hands. So far, Kingdom Hearts 3 adopted a lot of elements from Kingdom Hearts 2 and some elements from its sequels, and I liked the Toy Story world for being interesting to explore, to operate a fucking giant toy robot to kill off waves of enemies, and I loved how this world is so vast like other worlds, unlike previous Kingdom Hearts games. It sucks that the reaction commands truly didn't make it into Kingdom Hearts 3 though. Truly, I rate Kingdom Hearts 3 a 7/10 better than rating Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with a 6/10. I got sick of Pokemon Showdown, because too many people love to switch spam Pokemon and boosting tons of stats for their legendary Pokemon, such as Mewtwo and Raikou, to make the meta overly defensive, and to have massive advantages to win with all Pokemon alive. What a bunch of fucking tryhards. It felt unfair, gay, not fun, and infuriating. I am surprised that Nintendo hadn't made any copyright strikes to take down that website, but the creators don't make money out of it, which means they are lucky. Still, if Nintendo ends up going the mobile route, then Nintendo is done as a gaming company. The fall of Nintendo is inevitable for all the fuck-ups Nintendo did to us in the Wii and Wii U eras. Oh, that's right. Fuck this psychopathic, 15-year-old Chilean YouTuber for torturing and killing cute kittens who he perceived as being weaker than him. In Chile, South America, a 15-year-old Hispanic/Latino boy is named Machas Vera. Machas goes by the moniker of Pelican Entertainment. On YouTube, bought about 6 to his home. Meanwhile, in Machas' home, Machas tortured his kittens. Machas did all of those evil crimes by stomping on most of his kittens' spines to paralyze them as they were crying for help until they died from being crushed to death. Furthermore, Machas dropped one of his kittens in the toilet, which was filled with his feces, that caused his kittens to suffocate until they died. Machas was recording this on YouTube to show it off to his viewers, who many of them were shocked and disgusted by this boy's actions. However, Machas' subscribe count had increased, and he was not banned yet to this very day, so he is making all teenagers to look malicious and cruel. I should thank YouTube moderators for not doing anything at all to punish Machas. How pathetic YouTube is that it only cares about his money. Luckily, 2 of the surviving kittens were rescued from Machas' home by a neighbor secretly. Eventually, it is rumored that Machas got arrested by the police, but since the Chilean law goes to punish kids harshly at the age of 15 or below, Machas will be released much earlier than older prisoners. It is also rumored that Machas was sent to a psychiatric hospital to help fix his messed up mind. This is sickening that this sadistic and homicidal psychopath will be out to kill again, ranging from small animals to humans. https://www.youtube.com/watch v equals VT4's math _G greater than Finally, you can share your ethnic Korean and Germanic origins from your history with me and others on your channel after researching on your origins when you want to, even though we are all humans coming from Africa and further back in time from a single cell within an asteroid field from outer space, lol. Technically, we are all foreigners.
It was a big moment, right?